Alright, YouTubers, I planned to put a video together on putting this part in, but as I started filming it, my phone has been on the fritz and it died. But anyways, it was to replace the intermediate steering shaft and lower bearing on the steering column. This part here it has grease inside of it, and what they get is a wobble or a clunk in the stern column as you turn or you hit a bump. You'll feel like a very hollowish clunk in the steering column. So today I took on the undertaking of putting it in. This is the part number GM 1932-9330 shaft upper intermediate. And then for the actual bearing, it's going to be a part number 889-63617, the bearing steering shaft. The replacement part for the bearing steering shaft is totally different than this. It's green in color, and the actual lip extends a little bit more because I guess after a certain year is to accommodate a electrical component that sticks a little bit further out here. And so the replacement part for this one is from, I believe it's from 99 on up. So this is what was originally in the truck. What you get in the wobble is this plastic bearing inside here will tend to get play, or because it's plastic, it kind of increases the diameter of this, so the steering shaft will bounce around inside here, which connects to this here. And they say to replace this because you have grease in here, and this actually connects to the lower shaft that goes into the steering box. And some people will disconnect this and pump it back and forth to rebuild I don't know how they think, the grease inside. It might last maybe about 7 months and it'll go right back to what it was. But let me just show you how it's replaced. So within the engine bay, there's the intermediate shaft. It's this here. There's a 15 millimeter bolt with a 15 millimeter stud. This is not an actual nut because it's this little metal piece just holds onto that and feeds in. So you'll remove this here to get the lower end of the shaft out. Then from inside the truck, inside the truck, underneath the steering column, underneath the dash, there's the upper part of the shaft. If you look right there's the bolt. It's actually a 13 millimeter on this side and a 15 millimeter nut. This is the replacement bearing, the green part, teal green, that goes into the shaft. Once you disconnect this nut, the U-joint there will slide out, and you disconnect the nut from underneath in the engine bay, pull the shaft out through the firewall, reverse for installation. And this bearing here, there's actually a tab. I really can't get the camera up in there, but on that side of it, on the passenger side, there's a tab, like a little notch. Place a screwdriver in there to pry it out, and it'll slide out. In order to get it back in, you're going to grease the shaft of the steering column where the bright white light's at, and grease the inside of the bearing and slide it through. It's going to be a very tight, snug fit. It's going to cause a lot of cussing and stuff because it's a little wedge in here. Push it in, and then it'll seat, and then just reverse installation. Now the biggest key that I want to iterate here is that once the shaft has been disconnected, the intermediate steering shaft, do not rotate your steering wheel. Leave it in the position it's at, because there is a clock spring in here, which is see, it has like a ribbon with wires in it, and it can be spun, and if you spin it too far, it'll disconnect and mess up all those wires inside the column, and you'll have to replace the clock spring. For this vehicle, it's $450. I did not break it, but I've seen people that have done it. So that's one thing. And just make sure you grease the inside of that bearing. It has its own grease already in it, but in order to fit that shaft through that hole, it needs to be greased. So what needs to be greased is right in here, and put a little dab through here, and actually just rubbed a thin film of grease on the outside of the shaft to put it up into the column. There's nothing electrical on this end of the steering column, so it wasn't going to interfere with anything. Now, it was a very easy installation, figuring it's only 2 bolts, but very difficult because of the room. I'm a bigger guy. I actually had to contort my body in order to get into a position to put it in. And to place this back inside, it comes out real easy, but to go back inside, it's a snug fit. So just be ready to squeeze it on in and do your dirty work. So sorry I didn't get a video showing it step by step, but I need a new phone. Thanks for watching.